Well, greetings and salutations to our fine podcast audience. Welcome to 3 Ps in a Pod, episode 304.
We made it.
4 episodes into the new season.
Yeah.
Which I hear Charlie has updated all our graphics and color schemes, and everything is new.
We feel like brand new people.
We're brand new.
I got bored.
He got bored. Good. Boredom sometimes actually produces something.
That's true.
That's what I'm told.
It produces lots of things.
That's
good,
right.
And mostly good
Mostly good stuff. I
Yeah.
hear we have a problem with boredom in our society today. Have you heard this?
I have heard this before. Yeah, especially now with phones, nobody ever has to be bored again.
That's
so
right.
we never have to come up with things to
They
do,
do.
or
Yeah.
or to think about, or to feel things I don't want to feel, or to think about problems I don't want to have to think about. I can just go on my phone. So.
What is it you don't want to feel, Nathan?
Me? Oh, there's probably all kinds of things I don't want to feel.
I'm analyzing you right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's have a session.
Okay,
Well, I'm kidding.
we'll find out. See what the people want to hear.
Well,
Maybe that's
Is it
what people
okay
want to
if
hear.
y'all do that I leave? Could I
Maybe
just
that's what
be
people
done?
want to hear.
Ed's bored. He wants to leave right now.
Go get my phone.
That's right. I wonder how many people are on their phone right now watching or
Or
listening.
listening.
To this. That's right.
Probably
Yeah.
almost
I actually
everybody.
have found there are certain things that I can do and listen to podcasts at the same time without losing focus on either one. That's pretty sad.
I
Yeah,
think-
that's true.
About
I
the
can do
only thing I can do that way. I can do dishes.
Mm.
That's often part of my Sunday morning routine. Is
Mm.
I get up early before everyone else, and I'll go downstairs, and it just helps me to get kind of in a headspace. I'll listen to a podcast and I'll do dishes. I can do that, and I can be at the gym. I can run. I can do things like that.
Yes.
But anything, I can't listen to them at work. Like if I'm
No,
doing
me either,
anything,
me either.
I can't, because I find out I didn't listen to anything that got said.
Nope. In that way, my brain has to be on a track.
Yeah.
I can't have
If I want to absorb the
That's right.
information.
That's right. Well, it's interesting, Nathan, that you bring up your household habits.
Uh-huh. Oh, yes. Why?
Hey, you ain't got nothing on that segue.
That was a good segue.
That's a good
That was a
segue.
good segue.
Talking about household habits, because that's what sort of we touched on last Sunday,
Yes.
at the end of our One Life at a Time series, and we're going to talk a little more in depth about that. So on Sunday, we talked about how important it is. Well, we talked about how the importance of parenting and how parents are really the drivers of discipleship to Jesus within their own homes, helping their children to know and love Jesus. And that's something that we've talked about in general in our church, but we got specific and talked about how do you bring that into the house? How do you create these habits, these what we call these daily or household liturgies even, that kind of help you and your family grow and to look more like Jesus. And so today, we're going to follow up with that. Here's the question. When your schedule is packed and when your brain feels fried, what are the smallest micro habits or micro liturgies that keep your household anchored in God's grace? I'm assuming this question is directed towards us personally. I didn't ask that before we started. Yeah, I just read it differently from the first time I read it. It said your household. Are we talking about ours?
What's the difference between a micro habit and habit?
Ooh. Well, I would think one's smaller than the other.
Well,
Micro means
Thank
small.
You. Thank you. It's good to remind old people of words.
Just saying. Words mean something, Ed.
Yeah, I know. I've said that 1,000 times.
I know you have. That's why I said.
Well, why don't we start broad?
Okay,
Why don't we
let's do
start
that.
with what we think are the easiest for most people to incorporate, regardless of whether they're a parent with kids in the home or not, but just for a person. And then maybe we can incorporate as we go things that we do and things that we experience. But what do we think are, in the term of, what's his name? James Clear's Atomic Habits,
Ooh, yeah.
right?
Well, I think
Other
for
things like that.
where I would start is, because what I find is difficult to do is to create a new habit out of whole cloth.
Right.
And what I mean by that is we're not doing this thing as a family, so let's wrench our entire schedules out of whack and rearrange everything and create this new thing, because those are typically habits you won't keep because they're hard to get ingrained. And so what I've told people before, people I've worked with in counseling and just helping parents, find the things you're already doing
Yeah.
And this is in light of what he talks about in that book, Atomic Habits, of
habit stack.
habit stacking.
Mhm.
Find something has already been ingrained in your daily routine, and sort of stack something that goes with it or kind of marries into it, melds with it, and it's something that it will help you kind of build that micro habit into your already daily life. So
I have a new one of those. It doesn't have anything to do with spiritual life, but as you get older, you lose muscle mass, and so people have been telling me that forever. And
you personally, or just in general?
just in general, as you get older, you got and
Like, if
because
they just walked up to you and said that person, that'd be rude.
it would be rude.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you regularly, the reason older people have fall things is because they've lost a lot of muscle ability. And so I decided not too long ago, 3-4 weeks ago, and have stuck with it at this point because I decided to habit stack. I wanted to do, and I am not an exerciser, I'm not a go to the gym, that's not who I am, but to do something to prevent this kind of thing, particularly with falling. I decided every time I went at work to get a drink or to at home to get something to drink, which is often, I would do 20 squats. So that's my payment for going to get a drink.
Interesting. I actually saw a thing on this it was kind of like,
going to say, I've been watching you do 20.
no, I haven't watched you been doing.
And I've been going, what's he doing?
What's wrong with it?
I don't do them in the kitchen, so I don't have to explain it to anybody.
Okay.
I don't have to talk about it now. I'll have to.
I did see a thing on that their encouragement was to every hour do like 10 squats.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
And I tried to do that. I've not been good at it, but I sit a lot in
Yeah.
my doing counseling sessions.
We all do because
That's right.
we do lots of office stuff.
But I usually have a break at the top of every hour where I switch from one session to the other. And I had tried to put it in there. It just didn't stick very well. Maybe I should do something else.
Yeah, I drink a lot and by nature. I have, it's just something I do. So I do lots of squats now.
Yeah, one thing I often talk with people about is I love habit stacking. That's a big thing for me, just personally, whenever I'm wanting to make changes. But I do think you trying to figure out kind of your own personality around it, because I do think some people, like you take like every time I go get a drink, or, at the top of every hour, I'm going to whatever. For me, I've actually found those kind of habits are harder for me because, and this is my personality, once I miss 2 times of doing it, I go, well, I'm just not going to keep doing it.
Oh, yeah.
I do better with, so like take like physical fitness. I do better with, okay, I'm going to dedicate this 45-minute chunk of time to it because I go, I can schedule that out ahead of time. So it's not that one is better, one is worse. I think it's important when you're trying to instill, as Jason talked on Sunday about, it's the rhythms, it's the habits that really kind of form things that you go, what are the things I probably would actually do? I remember we did a series on this in our now defunct Not Great Parents podcast. When I was doing some parenting, we did a thing on how do you build a rule of life and how do you build habits. And, there's an old business term you're supposed to have SMART goals.
Yes.
And we talked about SMART goals. If they need to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely.
There you go.
And the ones I think that are most important with that is that you sit and you go, I want to actually name what's the thing I want to do. Because what I often find is that people, and let's take spiritual life. And with my kids, I go, I want God to be in my home more. Well, that's not very specific.
No.
That's a great goal. That's a great goal. But becoming more specific about what do I actually want. So I become specific. I want my kids to read the Bible more. Okay? That's pretty specific. I want to read the Bible more. So then you got to go, how am I going to measure that? How am I going to know we're doing it? And then the bigger one, though, that goes to the thing I was talking about is the attainable and realistic, which attainable means that's actually something we could do. Realistic is it fits who we are. So if we're a family that already has 1,000 things going on, I may need to look and go, like we've said, what's one small habit I could pick? And instead of going, I want my kids to read the entire Bible in a year,
Which ain't gonna happen.
right? You sit and you say, okay, what is something? Maybe it's I want them just to read this one verse every day this week.
Mhm.
I want them to sit and then we're gonna talk about it at dinner, or we're gonna whatever. There's gonna be some kind of thing that I fit into. What do we do? And you talk a little bit about this in the sermon on Sunday about using bedtime and using meal times and using, getting them up in the morning.
Well, that's in light of what I said earlier about find these things that you're already going to do, that you pretty much have to do every day, and figure out a way to stack the habit on top of that. Or at least for me, and you guys have mentioned a couple of personal things. For me, it has become a thing where I need to almost put obstacles in my way that I have to walk over. And what I mean by that is, for example, you mentioned reading the Bible. Well, I also have developed a habit of reading the Bible in the morning every single day. What has really helped me to not lose that habit is to literally put my Bible in my way. When I wake up, it is in the space where I almost have to go around it or ignore it in order to get to something else. And it's in a space in my home that I can't ignore it.
Yeah.
And so I would say, to go off of what you were mentioning, Nathan, if you want your children to be more engaged with the Bible, it needs to be out, accessible, and viewable in spaces in the home where you can't miss it.
Yeah.
That also will help when you see it. So that's been something that has helped me every day to stay consistent with my daily time of, checking in with my group that I'm a part of, but with what we do together, reading the scriptures. It just is there. It's omnipresent, so to speak.
Yeah.
I can't get around it. So that's one way.
Yeah. And I think along those lines, so in our home, we just have kind of it's now really more of a tradition, but it started as a rule of no one eats breakfast until they read their Bible and pray. And so when our kids would come down, we just say, as they're coming in, they go, "What's for breakfast?" I go, "Hey, okay, this is what we're making." I said, "But have you done your Bible reading yet?" And they go, "Okay." And then they go to the other room, they get their Bible. Now that they're older, they come down and they do that on their own. And we only do that on school days. So weekdays, we say, hey, this is kind of the way we're going to kind of do things. Because Saturday, everyone's waking up at different times and doing stuff. And for us, and you talk about this, that this has been Jennifer and I, we read an article even before we had kids that was talking about kids don't remember specific events as much as they remember the rhythm of your life. And that just became our guiding principle is rhythm of life is what we notice. So it is not important to me that my kids never have a morning where they don't read their Bible. It's important to me that regularly they have a rhythm in their body that says, hey, when I start my day, I should talk to God. I should have a moment with God. So Monday through Friday, they kind of will come down and I've noticed frequently it's become like brushing their teeth. If they forget to read the Bible, they later go, oh yeah, that was weird. It's like when you don't brush your teeth and then the rest of the day you're like, oh yeah, that feels weird. My mouth feels weird. For them, they kind of have one of those experiences. Now, my kids are like everybody else's kids. This, of course, becomes at times a chore. It becomes the thing like school that they want to come down and go, I don't want to read the Bible. And my wife and I will regularly sit and, because as parents, you become very reactive. And so the two of us have to sit and calm each other down and be like, it's not a problem that when they sit down to read the Bible, they go, I don't want to read the Bible. I'm not creating some kind of, legalistic. They don't think they have to read the Bible for God to love them. They just understand this is the rhythm of our family, is all of us, because they also know mom has a chair in our bedroom where she sits in the morning and reads her Bible. They are often coming downstairs while I'm doing a prayer call with some people in our church where we're praying together and I'm reading the Bible as part of that. So they know this is just the rhythm of who we are, which that's another thing I'd say if you're a parent, these can't simply be things you're going, well, my kids need to do this, so I'm going to toss it on them. If it is not rooted in who you are, it doesn't feel like a rhythm of the family. Yeah. It feels like a chore.
Well, I just say as well, my experience has been with trying to help people live spiritual life for a long time now is that I don't know that I coined the phrase, but I always say the parents wind up winning.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean is if your spiritual life isn't what you want your kids' life to be, your life will wind up overpowering what you want them to have.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot lead them to something that doesn't matter to you. So I'd say the first micro habit is you should put this in place long before you're trying to get your kids to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just say that and I know you think I don't have time to wait. Well, you can't rush this, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
If you cannot get them to go someplace that you don't lead them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just thinking of an example of this, and I'm not sure it came clear to me like it did just now. I used to, part of what I wanted for my kids, because I got adults now, is I wanted them to learn to pray
Mm-hmm.
and to learn to have prayer as a daily habit. And I remember when they were really little, we would pray before pretty much every meal. We would sit around table and I would pray. And I always was very conscious of, I want them to I didn't want them to get into this rote habit of praying the exact same prayer every time. So I always tried not to do that, to say, to make it more conversational between me and God. Well, then there came that point where we started turning it over to our daughters to say, hey, you pray for the food tonight. You ask the blessing. And one of my daughters in particular got into this habit of saying the exact same prayer, exact same way every single time. And there was this little thing in me that I always kind of go, oh, I don't want her to be that way. I don't want it to become rote. I don't want it to become, but I never really tried to correct her. I just thought, I wished it were better than that. Well, she grew up all the way through high school, said the exact same prayer every single time. She went off to college and she got hooked up into some campus ministries, a different church. She started really taking faith on ownership. She came home this past summer. She was sitting around our table. She prayed for our food. Completely different. Everything had changed. And I thought to myself, oh, what was going on when she was a preteen and teenager was a foundational thing.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And it just hit me, oh, wow. That part of her life was not wasted. It was a training ground. It was a becoming something. She was growing in her faith too. I just didn't see it all the time. And then when you get some separation and they come back, you see that groundwork you laid, that little micro habit that we had in our family actually did produce something. I don't know where it's going to go.
That's right.
And I'm not saying it's everything. I'm just saying it's an example of these little things of sitting around table and having your children learn how to pray one prayer. Actually is pretty important.
It is. And I think having that, the way I would look at even just the story you said there is I would look at my habits, or what I'm forming is I'm really just sharing at the level they can understand my relationship with God. Because even what you described there is, I have this relationship with God. I want them to experience that.
That's right.
But the only way you can help them experience it is by sharing what you experience.
Well, and I'll say the other part of that story that I don't want people to miss is you all had and I know we're all paid by the church, but your family has a habit of, hey, we go to church.
That's true.
And so when your kid went off to college, they went to church.
Yeah, that's right.
And I can't, I haven't been shy about saying I didn't become a Christian until I was older. And, but my mom had a habit from the very first day that there was a family, just her and my dad, of, hey, we go to church. He wasn't a Christian, but we go to church. It was the promise she asked him to make to her, and he kept it. And I see now how foundational that was to me, even though I didn't come to faith at the time. That I remember one time playing baseball, making an all-star team, and they were going to let the whole all-star team, we didn't have a major league team close, so we're going to go to the Memphis Redbirds. And it's a minor league AAA team, but it was a Sunday game. And I wanted to go, of course, and my mom was like, hey, we go to church on Sunday. And I said, yeah, I know, but I can miss one Sunday.
It's baseball.
She's like, no, we go to church on Sunday. I said, well, what am I supposed to say to the coach? And she said, if you say to the coach, if everybody went to church on Sunday, y'all would go to a different day instead of Sunday.
That's a good one. She ain't wrong.
And so I didn't say that, of course,
Yeah.
but I said I can't go.
Mm.
And anyway, but that foundational thing, and that's what I would just say to people as well. I just had this conversation with a young dad about 5 or 6 weeks ago of you can't just decide at the last minute, this is a week that I'm going to go to church.
Yeah, that's right.
If you do, you'll wind up going very seldom, and your kids will get God's an option, like going to the lake's an option, and whatever the best option is at that particular time. If you want God to be, and I know that's not a micro habit. It is in one way. It really is just a decision.
Mm-hmm.
I think people miss that. It just is a decision that I make that this is a part of my life. But so much of that story, you're in Helga's faith, and then the faith you wanted for your daughters, it flows out of that. This is who we are.
Yeah.
We are people that follow Jesus, and people who follow Jesus go to church.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And I bet y'all never had the discussion that I know lots of people have. Well, you don't have to go to church to be a Christian. No, I guess some people think that's true, but I just don't see that in the Bible anywhere, nor anybody that remains a Christian very long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I
No.
think,
Mm-hmm.
and I think on that line of it flowing out of who you are, it is ultimately the rhythms that establish it. It's the things that they remember. And so if you don't have those habits set up, I do think try your best. All the stuff you said, habit stacking, and pick some small thing. You don't have to get it all figured out. And then find a way to just invite your kid into that.
Yep.
Share them at their level, because you will ultimately establish, and you already have a rhythm that is established. And every kid picks up on their family's rhythm. You know, and you mentioned like baseball, but that's the nature of it. I remember hearing somebody, and I'm trying to remember who it was, but he was in a book. He basically said almost there are very few professional athletes that are from non-sports families. And what they said was there are very few baseball players that were like, my dad never picked up a baseball, but I just decided I'm going to go be a baseball.
Not professionals.
That's
for
what they
sure.
said, that the
That's right.
people who do this at the highest level, they start in a family where my dad and you know, when you interviewed the baseball or the basketball player, it's some kind of, I grew up and we watched baseball. My grandpa took me to the Braves game every whatever, you know, and they have some little story. And then I started playing. Now, it doesn't mean that the parents were the highest level athletes themselves, but it bled into the thing for the kid. And most sports kids, when you ask them, why is this your thing? When they're old enough to remove it, was, well, those were the best times I had with my dad. Out on the ball field, my dad's face would light up when I'd go out there and play. Or my mom cheered me on the sidelines. It was this whole thing. And they would say, and because this was a Christian person talking about it, and they said, the way that our kids pick up on our love for our hobbies and our sports and these kind of things, even though not every one of our kids is going to pick up our love of sports and all those kind of things.
Sure.
But we want to be the kind of people that our love for Jesus is so clear that our kids pick up on it. And similar to that every parent who's in the sports family would say, hey, you should try playing a sport. You're 5, it's time to go do this. I, in a similar way, would just want to invite my kid and go, hey, in our home, we're a Jesus family. That's who we are. And you may not choose to be a Jesus person one day, and that I will still love you, and I'm going to still cheer you on and support you and all those kind of things. But this is who we are. And so we go to church on Sundays, and we read the Bible in the morning, and we pray together, and we give money, and we go and we serve people who are in need. All these kind of habits that you see throughout the Bible of people of faith at whatever level. And if that means when I got a little kid, I'm teaching them this little prayer. It doesn't matter, because God hears that prayer just as much as the one I'm making up. And one day I hope that you have a conversational, but it's okay that at this point, in the same way that right now, because I have a 14-year-old who has a phone, and I realized the other day, because she never hears me on the phone. No one ever calls me. I called her the other day to find out where she was, and the phone stopped like ringing, the dial tone stopped, and then it was just silence. And I went, are you there? And she goes, yes. And I said, and so when she got in the car after, I said, okay, well, come meet me here. When she got in the car, I said, you have to say hello when you pick up a phone. And she goes, why? And I said, to let me know that you picked up the button. It occurred to me, this and everything. And in fact, in case you don't know this, the word hello was invented by the telephone.
That's right.
Because we never had to, in normal conversations, walk up to a person and go, I'm here to start the conversation.
Yes.
Hello. You would just walk up and go, oh man, good to see you, so-and-so. Like you just start, you don't say hello. We start saying hi and hello on the phone. In the same way, like I would teach my kid, here's proper ways to talk on the phone. And I might give them a little speech to say. When someone calls, you say, hi, how are you? How can I help you today? I'm not teaching them not to have a conversation. Or if I teach them to read the Bible and I say, memorize these 3 or 4 passages, I'm not giving them a legal, unless I come and go, and if you don't memorize these 3 things, then God doesn't love you anymore.
Well, and that's important that's an important point you make, because not every habit you try to ingrain into your family is going to be received as a welcome thing. I mean, none of us grew up with habits that we just fell in love with at the moment that I want to do this. Sometimes they were kind of, okay, but this is who we are.
Yes.
And we just keep doing it. And I think your posture you just illustrated is the great one to have, is to say, this is who we are. This is what we do. You may choose differently in your adult life, but for now, and you just allow them to see it and experience it, some of that stuff gets absorbed.
Yeah, I would certainly not make anybody feel guilty about it. I'd just say, hey, this is what I'm asking you to do as part of this house. And you can decide not to do this. God's not mad because you didn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not mad, but it is a part of being a part of our family. And
Yeah, just like picking up your clothes in the living room. Because guess what? My kids, apparently getting your shoes off the living room floor is the worst thing you can ask a person to do. But I've never thought, I go, well, because I love my kid, we're just going to put up with every time someone comes over the house, they have to trip. We go, hey man, when we respect people when they come over to ours, we're going to pick up our shoes.
My kid likes having their stuff strode everywhere, so I'm going to just allow them to have
They've left their underwear from the laundry sitting on that couch for 14 days, and we're going to be okay with it. Like you said, I don't have to be like, and I'm mad at you that you didn't do it, but it's part of the parental responsibility to go, other people exist in the world. And one of those people's name is Jesus. Yeah. And this is how he wants us to relate to him. You may choose one day you never want to relate to him. And I'll still love you and I'm not going to be mad at you. But as long as you're in my home, Jesus is present in my home. And we're going to respect him like he's a guest in any other guest that comes to our home. He's here. And so this is what it looks like. And we're not mad if it doesn't happen. And I'll say this. I said this, my kids seeing it as a chore. I don't ever have fights with my kids over this. They come down and I'll go, hey, I didn't see you read your Bible. Did you read your Bible? And they go, oh, no. And then they go get it. And sometimes, because they're teenage girls, will go, ugh. And then they'll go do it. But they've never come to me and gone, Dad, I feel like if I don't do this, you're not going to accept me. They love me. And it's just.
Well, that's because of the way you approached it.
Well, and I think it's really important whether they keep it up or not. Again, you have to lead. And so you don't stop because they stopped.
Right.
Because then it becomes apparent you were doing this to make them do something.
Yes, that's right. And it wasn't really.
And if it doesn't matter to you, why should it matter to them?
Absolutely.
That's right.
Okay. So those are our thoughts on micro habits. Is that what we call them? Micro habits.
I think that's what the AI has called it. Because I don't think I typed the word. Some of these I created, some of them I worked with Gemini on, but I don't think I typed the word micro habit. That doesn't sound like
you might now going forward.
I think we should create a name for Gemini other than Gemini, and he could become an associate producer on the show with Charlie.
Nice. We'll see.
Or she.
Like that.
Huh?
I don't like
Charlie
that.
doesn't like that.
Charlie doesn't
I'm
like
sorry, Charlie. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
The AI's taking over.
Or you, Gemini. I know you're listening.
Ed's just trying to make sure that when the AI takes over, he's on the good side. I wanted to give Gemini credit when they come to take me.
I tried to tell them that you were
Our new AI overlords. I am fully on board with you.
So next week we start a new series, right?
We do. We're talking about the parables of Jesus.
So we're going to take them parable by parable. Is that how we're going to do it? Or just in general?
We're not going to cover all the parables, but we are covering one. We're covering, I think, 5 in this series. I think 5.
That's not close to all of them.
No. I bet it'd take a whole year to get through all.
I would think.
It's a lot.
I think I looked it up, and I think it's depending on how you can fudge a little of is this a parable or not. I think 40.
Okay.
I think there are 40 unique.
And are those ones that are more than one sentence? Because he has some that seem to be parables.
Yeah, no,
but-
some of those are just the one sentence.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, come back next week or come to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
Micro habit. And see which one we do first, because that's coming up this week. And then we'll do another deep dive on the next episode of this podcast on whatever that is. And you'll find out next week.
We're not AI yet.
Not yet. See you then. Bye.